Look at that. He's so confused. You wanna hop down on that? There you go, buddy. Today, I'm gonna be talking about probably my favorite tank in the entire warehouse. And this tank is my zebra pleco breeding tank. Now, I made a video, I think 4 months ago on this tank, and I talked about the story behind these fish. These zebra plecos are very, very expensive and pretty rare, especially here in Australia. And I got these, I think, in 2020 or 2021. And there's like a whole story I told in the previous video. You guys can go and watch that. I came in end of last year and I noticed that there was a spawn in this tank. So I made a video about that process and raising those babies up. And I'm here to do just like a really quick update because a lot of people have been asking how the fish are going, and I thought we'd just really quickly just update you guys, give you some tips and stuff that I've learned from doing this, because I've already changed the methods to how I'm breeding these fish in a very, very short period of time. So I've ran into a few issues. So what made the fish spawn originally, I had these set up. This is a 20-gallon tank. I have 9 fish in here, which is quite a lot. I've got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 caves, but there's only really one kind of dominant male that seems to patrol one cave. He's always chilling out here, but he's the breeding male. He's always got a female hanging around the cave, and that pair is the pair that's been spawning. So what happened, I just left this tank, let the fish grow out, let them settle in. It took 3 years to grow them up to sexual maturity. And what I did, I watched this Eric Bodrock tour, I've talked about it a million times, and he said something in that video. It was to do 50% water changes daily for a week and your fish will start to spawn. Now, the thing I've noticed about catfish is they really like clean water. I did water changes on this rack for a week, and at the end of the week, the fish had spawned. I originally thought that there was only males in this group. As it turns out, there was a female and we got a clutch of eggs. Now, I raised that clutch of eggs up in a breeding basket and I got them to a pretty good size, and then we started to have some issues. So that's where we're gonna start to update you from. So the fish that I had in the basket, I went away, like I've been finding it quite tricky to be on top of my breeding just because of the simple issue of traveling. Like I've had to travel to do a lot of videos, and I've had to, go away for weekends and drive to places, and the fish room just doesn't really like that happening. And when you've got fish in a very small container, things can tend to go wrong. So we had a few issues where we were overfeeding this while I was gone, and the box wasn't kept pristinely clean. And I had a few issues raising up the fry. So I think I cursed myself here. I learned from Dean when I was over in America, never to count your eggs before they hatch, never count chickens before they hatch. And I did count these, and I think I cursed myself a little bit. So I did lose a fair few of the first batch just due to this box being dirty. So in the meantime as well, I was doing tons and tons of water changes on this tank. I got another spawn and I lost that entire spawn to the same issue. So I had like two containers and I lost all the spawns that way. So this left me like devastated and frustrated, and I found it really hard to like look at this tank, especially because I became so attached to a certain amount of fry, not just the process of them breeding, which I think is what I needed to be focused on. So what I did was I had to go on this big America trip, and I had like my heart in my mouth leaving these fish here. I was just super anxious about it. I thought, you know what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna treat this tank like I'll treat any other tank, and I'm just gonna let these guys colony breed. So I let the fry that were in the box go in the tank, gave this tank a huge cleaned the sponge filter, got all the mold out of it, and just let them go. I added a few tiles in here for babies to hide underneath and all that, and I left them while I was gone. While I was gone, they had a third spawn. I made sure the girls here, Mia and Susie, I told them just to keep this tank clean, and it seemed to work. We've been doing so many water changes on this tank, and we had another spawn. So this tank, it's literally like any old bristlenose breeding tank from back in the day, like when I used to breed that common bristlenose. I've just treated them like that, and there's heaps of fry in here. I haven't counted them. The original fry that we had from the original video, they are getting quite big. And then there's also like a ton of these little fry in here too. And then I think there's like at least 3 different batches of fry in here at the moment. I'm really not sure how many there would be in here. I'm hoping there's probably more than 15 to 20, but I'm not entirely sure at this stage. There's a lot of fish in here. And what I've been doing is simply just leaving them. The only thing that I do to breed these fish now is keep the tank clean. So there's like a sponge filter in here. I run the tank at 28 degrees Celsius. You can see there's a ton of aeration going on in here and some rocks and slate and whatever. And all I do is I run my automatic water change for 40 minutes every day when I'm in here. So I'll just turn it on in the morning, come in and do my jobs, and they just absolutely love water changes. It has been summer, so I don't know if that makes a difference whether it's like a breeding season, but he had eggs as recently as 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's just been working out really, really well. One of the things I did notice was that when the cold fronts kind of came through, like storms, I noticed they started to breed a little bit more. But I think for me, the thing that's made this the most rewarding was definitely not being attached to the result, like making sure that I wasn't thinking about money or anything like that, because ultimately I really don't care about the money with these fish. It's nice that they're worth a lot, but I don't really even have the heart to sell them. I'm just so attached to them. I mean, the babies are so cute. So I'm probably just going to keep these, raise them up for the next 3 years and continually just breed them. They're going to be something that, as long as I have a fish room, I'm going to have zebra plecos. So I do want to keep this line of fish as long as I can. But yeah, just keep the tank clean. I mean, zero nitrate seems to be a trick for sure, like getting that right down, just doing your water changes. I think they just really like that fresh water. So like lots and lots of water changes seems to have been the trick. I don't know if either as well, maybe the fact that there's babies swimming around entices them to continually spawn, because this tank, yeah, this is really cool. Like there's tons of babies in here. If you come to this tank, these are the 201s I have. This tank is like the zebra pleco tank on roids. These are both high Pancystrus species. In here, Harlan, before we were having a look, counted 45 fry in here. This is probably one of the coolest tanks in the whole shop. There's like all these little polka dot things swimming around, and the male's on eggs again. So I don't know, I've just noticed for all my high pans, doing lots and lots of water changes is really good. Oh, food. I actually have stopped feeding these guys any frozen food because the babies are in here. I was feeding these brine shrimp, and it definitely did help a lot with getting them to spawn. But the problem was the babies were choking on the brine shrimp. They've like, I think the catfish have like these little hooks inside of their throat. And when I feed brine shrimp, the babies try and eat it and they choke on it and die. So I had to stop feeding that. So the only thing I'm feeding these tanks is bug buffet. And I feed it probably like 5 days a week. And that seems to be doing the trick. Like they're spawning on bug buffet and it's spreading all around the tank and they're eating it. And when I feed this tank, this is how I do it. So I'll grab like, you know, this many pellets and I'll throw them around, and because it makes like that snow and that biofilm, they go nuts for it. And because the food has like real ingredients in it, like insect meal, shrimp meal, all that stuff, the fish just do so much better and they're conditioned up and spawning on it. So like if you have a look in here, we'll get some really good B-roll of this. It's the freaking coolest tank I've ever seen. Like I absolutely love this aquarium. It's the coolest thing. I can't recommend these fish enough. Like, dude, there's way more than 45 in there. That's insane. Here, let's feed the zebs as well. I'm kind of all over the place. I just wanted to show you the tank and document kind of what I've done. Yeah, but feeding, bug buffet, green cuisine. From here, the plan is to just, I think some of these babies are gonna start having to be moved. So I'm planning on setting up a tank at home maybe and taking some of these little puppies home and keeping them there. We'll see how they go in winter, whether they keep breeding. I'll be interested to see, because the water temperature, when I was doing the water changes during summer, the tap water was coming out hotter than the tank was. So like instead of it going from like 28 degrees to 27 or 26, it would go from 28 to 32 and they were still spawning, which is kind of weird. So I think the trick's no nitrates. But again, I'm no expert. I'm just a guy with a couple hundred tanks, and I just play around with these and it seems to have worked, but it's just, you know, a dream come true. I sit in awe at this tank, and baby zebra plecos are probably the cutest fry that exist on this earth. So, well, I hope I helped you guys out. If you guys are interested in breeding something like this, it's not about money. Make sure that if you are watching this video and thinking you're gonna get rich, you will f***ing lose money on these fish, I promise. They're like, that's just how it goes. Like, don't ever think about the money. Don't count your eggs before they hatch. I made that mistake and I'm never doing that again. Look at the tank, enjoy it, enjoy the process of the fish. If you want to breed these fish, buy them just because you love them and pay the price because you love them. Don't buy them to make money, because that'll like fuck up. You gotta wait like 5 years to do this. So, but yeah, all right. Thanks guys. I'll see you in the next video.